I'd like to call to order the meeting of Monday, March the 11th. If you please join me with Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If the clerk would please take the roll.
Councilmember Archibald. Councilmember Ashford.
Present.
Councilmember Haremza.
Here.
Councilmember Lamb.
Here.
Councilmember Mosrak.
Here.
Councilmember Pemberton.
Here.
Mayor Rep.
Here. You have the minutes before you from the special meeting of February 24th and the regular meeting of February the 26th. Is there a motion to receive and file?
So moved. Support.
Madam Chair. By Councilmember Ashford, supported by Councilmember Pemberton. Is there any changes to the minutes? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Minutes will stand as submitted. We have several public hearings tonight, so if the clerk would please read the first one.
To hear comments on the proposed Michigan Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund grant application in an amount of up to $300,000 to assist with the development and improvements at Harrison Point Park. Following the hearing, council will consider a resolution to authorize the submission of the grant application, and if grant funds are awarded, authorize the acceptance of the offer and provide for the required local funding match.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to public hearing number 1 about Harrison Point Park?
Mayor Rapp, Council, Ken Harris, 1521 Wells Street, Fort York. I'd just like to make a comment since I just live in the same neighborhood as the Harrison plan and stuff and what you've got going forward here. I think it's time to recognize, you know, years ago our kids were brought up and went through Harrison School, and after Harrison School they kind of moved on. Well, in the interim, the Port Huron Area School District decided they were going to bus kids instead of having neighborhood schools, which really hurt the neighborhood. But I think now we got somebody who's going to be a conscientious owner of that property, and I already see that they've taken part of the property and recognized the athletic field. And I think whatever we do to report for the Harrison School property or the Suns property is the fact that I hope we do it specifically enough that it helps enhance the program that the Suns are putting into there. So thank you on that.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address public hearing number 1?
Kathleen McCready, 414 14th Street, regarding the park. We are very grateful to have Harrison Point Park as an official city park. The plan looks like what we discussed at the meeting that night with multi-purpose fields and a playscape, and it's going to be a huge benefit to have an official city park in our neighborhood. So thank you to everybody that had input on this and so on and so forth. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address public hearing number 1? I will declare the hearing closed, and is there a motion to authorize the acceptance of this offer?
So moved.
Support.
Thank you. Councilmember Mosrak, supported by Councilmember Pemberton. Is there any questions from anyone on council? I think it's a great addition to the neighborhood. We will take the vote.
Councilmember Ashford.
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza.
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb.
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak.
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton.
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Public hearing number 2.
To hear comments on the proposed Michigan Department of Natural Resources Recreation Passport Fund grant application in an amount of up to $150,000 to assist with the development and improvements at Harrison Point Park. Following the hearing, council will consider a resolution to authorize the submission of the grant application, and if grant funds are awarded, authorize the acceptance of the offer and provide for the required local funding match.
Is there anyone who wishes to address the city council on public hearing number 2, which is relative to Harrison Park, also just a different funding? I will declare the public hearing closed, and is there a motion to consider the resolution to authorize submission?
Support.
I believe it was moved by Councilmember Ashford, is that correct?
Yes.
And seconded by Councilmember Lamb. Any questions, comments? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Mayor Rapp?
Yes. Public hearing number 3.
To hear comments on the proposed Michigan Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund grant application in an amount of up to $300,000 to assist with development and improvements at Knoxfield Park. Following the hearing, council will consider a resolution to authorize the submission of the grant application, and if grant funds are awarded, authorize the acceptance of the offer and provide for the required local funding match.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council on public hearing number 3 relative to Knoxfield Park improvements? Seeing no one, I will declare the public hearing closed and ask for a motion.
So moved.
Thank you.
Support.
Councilmember Lamb, supported by Councilmember Mosherak. Is there any questions on this? I believe we have it up on the screen for everybody to see. Is there any questions about
Mayor
this?
Rep, I don't have any questions, but I did speak with a lot of people in support of this, and they did say that they brought it to James' attention, the concerns during one of his coffee hours. Is that true? So, seeing nobody here, I just want to make sure that that was communicated, that they do care very much about this and support it in a huge way.
Good. Any other comments? We will take the vote.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Mayor Rapp?
Yes. Public hearing number 4.
To hear comments on the proposed Michigan Department of Natural Resources Recreation Passport Fund grant application in an amount of up to $150,000 to assist with the development and improvements at Knoxfield Park. Following the hearing, council will consider a resolution to authorize the submission of the grant application, and if grant funds are awarded, authorize the acceptance of the offer and provide for the required local funding match.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address public hearing number 4? Seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed and ask for a motion to authorize submission of this grant.
So moved.
Support.
Councilmember Lamb, supported by Councilmember Ashford. Is there any comments from council, additional ones?
Mayor Rep,
Yes.
I would just like to ask our city manager just to explain this. You know, we have 2 public hearings and we're voting on the same thing, and how that plays out, where one local manager is asking for $150,000 versus that. So can you just go over that for the public?
Yep, the DNR requires that we hold a public hearing when we apply for their trust fund grants. There's different pots of money, and so we apply to multiple pots of money at the same time in hopes of landing one or both of them to make the likelihood of the project more successful.
Okay, so we hitting the bat in both fields, and
Correct.
whichever one lands, and that's what we get.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there any other discussion? We will take the vote.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Mayor Rapp?
Yes. And looks like we're going to have some great park improvements in those 2 places. We'll move on now to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the city council tonight? If you do, please come forward, give us your name, where you live, and you have 4 minutes.
Mayor Rapp, Council, City Manager. Got several items here tonight that I'd like to speak about. Firstly, on the consent agenda tonight under ordinances, I have a problem with it. If you really look at it genuinely and look at it, I feel what the policy you're doing is basically discriminatory and kind of predatory, for the simple reason it goes back over here to what was talked about a month ago, is the fact that the city administration met with the realtors, or the rental owners of the city of Port Huron, and they've come up with, I think, a great idea and stuff, but the only ones that benefit by it are renters, or rental owners. And part of that policy, it says the code that existed at the time of the building was built. So that gives those people the chance to take an old house and refurb it, but not to today's standards. But here we go, we have a gentleman, Mr. Bradley Moving and Storage, a 100-year-old company that was based in Port Huron many years ago. For somehow or another, he lives in Delaware, and he found some property in Port Huron that he wanted to have. So he invested $66,000 to buy this property. Well, since his investment 2 years ago, he's been the problem child of the enforcement in the city of Port Huron. He has got tickets for painting a porch. He's got tickets for doing this and doing that. And if you look at it, that's a 1920 building. If he'd have been held to the same standards as this ordinance, he might have been able to do some of the things that he planned on doing. The gentleman been here, he bought property, he lived in Port Huron before, he thought he was investing, and he actually ended up with a health position where he probably won't be able to ever complete the project, and he's probably had a life-altering experience. So I just think that we have to figure out some way that we can address the same thing for people that own old homes in Port Huron that need them rehabilitated. Secondly, I'd like to bring up the fact that, we're looking at different things here, and I don't hear much going on in the newspaper about Josh Conant. And I just wanted to make sure that these people know that, the Department of Justice, area code 313-226-9100, is always available. I've had them kind of, they don't back you, but they advise you. And I think the thing is with the Department of Justice, they're just a little bit above the state police, a little bit above some of the others. And their arrangement from elections to crime and everything else, and I think that just might behold the people that are looking for the answers of what happened to Josh Coleman. Thirdly, I just like to know, I get a phone call the other evening, somebody said, well, this is going on, that's going on. Do we have a nepotism policy in the city of Port Huron? And if we do, let me know what in the mail or email or something like that, because it appears to this person who lost a job in the city of Port Huron is because of nepotism. I guess not the last thing. Okay, Facebook. There was quite a contest on Facebook the other day, and it was all about the water and sewer rates in the city of Marine City. Well, it spread to St. Clair County, and it really was turned to be an interesting thing. And I just like council to know, with the budget coming up, the fact that Port Huron was rated the first in this of the highest water and sewer rates in St. Clair County. So I think we need to really start looking at that. Why is Port Huron paying the highest ready-to-serve fee? The water and sewer isn't the issue. It's the ready-to-serve fee that kills the citizens of the city of Port Huron. And lastly but not least, when I looked at the front page of Port Huron Times Herald.
Your time is up.
Okay, sorry. I'll say that for an evening.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the council this evening? Please come forward. Give us your name, and you have 4 minutes.
Sorry, not trying to usurp everything, but on the ordinance about the 24-002, so they want to grandfather in. So if my house is passing stuff and it might meet the code to when it was built. So my house was built in 1915, 1920. So was there even a building code then? I mean, does this mean that pit toilets are okay? I don't understand the whole point to this ordinance, so I'd like to hear some more discussion on it, because I live in an older neighborhood with houses that are way older than mine that are rentals, and I sent Mr. Freed a picture of the the house kitty corner for me that had new steps, new railings put on, arm railings for the steps, but they redid the porch railing, so the step railing is way up here and the porch railing is way down here. And it's like, okay, let's just get organized about it is all I'm concerned about. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council this evening? Please come forward and give us your name, where you live, and you have 4 minutes.
Good evening, Curtis Carl, Fort Huron Township. Got a few things that I'd like to discuss tonight. I brought down some pictures. You guys can take a look at them, pass them down. I don't need them back. It's about what's going on behind the scenes. Not sure if any permits were pulled. Not sure if there's an easement on that sidewalk, but they're planning on doing some outdoor seating out there, and it's taking up quite a bit of space, at least 2/3 of that sidewalk. We were on a bike ride the other night, and my wife ran into their new obstruction. If it's legal, then I guess it's good, but if not, somebody needs to look into it, because come boat night, when 2 people can't pass each other, somebody's going in the river. So maybe you guys can take a look at that. My daughter asked if you guys, not sure if it'd be an MDOT issue or if it's something the city could look at, coming south on Pine Grove to Glenwood and trying to turn to come to work. You guys got a lot of people at the city county building. She recommends a turn arrow, heading this way. Not sure if that's feasible or not, but she sees a safety concern because she works at the county building every day, and she sees how bad the traffic is in the mornings and afternoons as well. Obviously, I'm here tonight for Josh Conan. 4 months have passed. The wheels turn real slow in the city government. I've been noticing in my time here. I've been to a lot of meetings. No different than the debris that's still at the Tainer Gate. The roads that I'm driving down every day, maybe I need to get a truck, because my car, I feel every road, it's like a war zone out there. Just heading up Pine Grove and the big pothole right there before the hospital in the right-hand lane, it's treacherous. But just moving too slow. I offered that you guys could take up an agenda to object to the liquor license renewal. I thought I was really doing good. We were making progress, moving forward, and then at the end of the meeting, I talked to the mayor. She took the wind right out of my sail. Kicked me down pretty hard. I feel like there's nobody on board on taking a side here. You guys don't want to say that you support Josh. You don't, but when you don't do that, it seems like you support the Roach Bar. They're out there putting cameras up. They're getting ready. It's gonna open. It shouldn't open. And yeah, they can open, but you guys really need to do the right thing and object to the liquor license renewal. You're running out of time. And the only person on the council is Conrad. He has reached out and he's offered up the information for us to go to Lansing and go in front of the Liquor Control Commission. Yeah, that's great and all, but what are you guys doing besides nothing? I really want to see things move forward in a good way, but my whole experience in the last 4 months, I'm disappointed. I'm just one small voice. Doesn't feel like I'm getting anywhere. And I think a lot of people in this room feel the same way. So I hope you guys pick the ball up and run with it, but I don't know, I'm not very confident in it. So justice for Josh.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the city council this evening?
Todd Moldovan, 1412 Pleasant Place. I want to thank you for instituting the Huron Avenue work group. I look forward to finding a solution that is both long-term sustainable and economically viable for our downtown. That being said, kind of in the vein of that, I want to share some thoughts about streets and our built infrastructure and the built environment around the city. A street cannot be both a destination that is desirable to arrive at and a thoroughfare in which it is efficient to pass through. In America, we don't typically think of streets as destinations, but if we look at the most desirable spots in our city, that would be downtown, and that's because the built environment makes it a destination. Port Huron and America at large during the 1950s and 60s, we started experimenting with this idea of how to solve the traffic problem, and that's really an experiment that we haven't let go of. There's really no solution to that type of traffic. The solution that they came up with in the 60s and that we've run with since then is to make the roads as wide as possible and prioritize one mode of transportation, which is what they did to Huron, Military, Electric, Lapeer, Water Street. Those are considered high-speed penetrators into our city. These are just remnants of the 1960s plan for downtown. Instinctively, we understand this concept. Imagine if neighbors nearby to the mall said that, it's too difficult to drive, down Keewatin or down Craft to get around the mall. We should put a highway right through the mall. What do you think that would do to the mall? When Pine Grove, Huron, and Military became a thoroughfare for only moving cars efficiently as is, it's effectively wreaked havoc on businesses for decades. I know we're in a bit of an upswing, but long term, even along Pine Grove, across from my neighborhood, a lot of those businesses sit vacant where Pine Grove Cleaners is, and that is because of the built environment. That being said, I think that we need a comprehensive transportation plan for the city. We can't just rely on SEMCOG's plans, MDOT's plans. We can't just react to things as they happen. We're in a road safety crisis. We're the deadliest county in southeastern Michigan for people on bikes. There's things that you can do. There's policies that you can institute as city council, as city leaders, to make our streets safer. I think that we need a comprehensive transportation plan and a complete streets policy to make our streets safer and comfortable for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council this evening?
Holden Goff here, 11th Ave. I got to looking at the meeting from early January, which a lot of the financials were published by Plant Moran, the presentation here. Who's preparing our budget? And why would they budget for $9.2 million in income tax receipts when we only received about $650,000 in the fiscal year ending in 2023? This isn't a new issue. For 2022, Port Huron budgeted $7.6 million in tax receipts from income, but received just short of $900,000. In 2021, Port Huron budgeted $7 million in income tax receipts, but received $740,000. Port Huron in 2020 budgeted $6.8 million in tax receipts, but received just short of $600,000. In 2019, Port Huron budgeted $6.6 million in income tax revenue and received $450,000. In 2018, Port Huron budgeted $6.6 million in tax receipts, but received just $380,000. I stopped at 2018 because there's a clear trend here. The budget's wrong. Altogether, it was a planned $43.8 million in income tax revenues for the last 6 years, and we collected just 3.7. We collected just 8.5% of our planned income tax revenue. That is very poor projecting. For 2023, Port Huron estimated revenues of $33 million and realized $14 million. Port Huron estimated expenses of $41 million with actual expenses of $10 million. I'm going to have to put more time into looking at these budgets because they're just egregiously optimistic of revenues and very pessimistic of expenses. It seems to me that none of the budget is being thoroughly analyzed. These have been in front of your face and presented for the last 6 years, and it's just consistently very off. Large variances in these budgets. It seems that there's just no consideration of the prior results before just pumping out the next budget. How can the people of Port Huron believe that, for instance, a flat rate refuse fee was necessary when our budget looks like this? Can we really be certain that there wasn't enough income coming in when our expectations are either vastly too high or just way too low? They're just very wrong. January 8th meeting, it made mention as well of the poverty dropping from 28.8% in 2014 to 22% in 2022. That's a decrease of about 23.5%. I'm sorry, excuse me. I would like to finish real quick, please. That's a decrease of about 23.5%, according to Statista's national averages of 14.8% in 2014, down to 11.5% in 2022. They show a very similar decrease of 22.3%. I don't believe our reduction in poverty is at all that impressive when you compare the two data sets. It's basically a one data value that's saying it's just following the market. There's nothing very great about the way we reduce poverty. It just followed overall economic trends. When you consider that we have almost twice the amount of people in poverty than the national average, I think there's still serious room for improvement. Say we continue to follow the national average improvements on poverty, we're just going to maintain the same range of poverty that we've been in for the last decade. Justice for Josh. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council this evening? Please come forward.
Mark Sanderson, Fort Gratiot. I'm just here to speak about my nephew. I've been coming here since actually the day that we buried him. And anyways, I've been pleading with you guys about the roach, and it's going to deaf ears. I do know for a fact, you guys, for when you guys think it's my sister and brother-in-law's lawyers that, oh, you can't close the roaches and that. He has nothing to do with it. It's all your citizens, your community that want to see the bar shut down. It's not just the Conant family. And you guys, you could have actually, just like you did with Military Street, the chief of police at the time, I think it was Reeves, asked the city council to close Military Street. I think it was 2016, but anyways, then the city council got together, they had a public hearing. You could have done the same thing with the Roach Bar, have a public hearing, let all the residents come in, actually have the owner speak, speak to the residents, and they could plead their case why they should stay open, why they have one of the smallest bars in Port Huron with the most bouncers, which is true. I mean, I've been to pretty much every bar in Port Huron, and Roach has the most bouncers, and you guys say a lot of the fights ain't at the Roach, it's out in the parking lot. I honestly believe when you have bouncers there that are, they set the stage for the mood for the people that are in there. If you have bouncers that are ready to fight, which a lot of them, from what I've heard, I haven't been in there in years, they look for it. It's enjoyable to them. It's probably not now, they're probably backpedaling because of what took place with Josh, but, and you guys also been waiting to hear about the death certificate, this and that and the other. James knows what's on the death certificate. I told him. I know it's on the toxicology report. I don't even know why people are so worried about that, but I know it's on there. It's not what a lot of the rumors are saying. The only things that he had in the system was alcohol and marijuana, which you got dispensary right across the street now. It's probably the busiest place in Port Huron at the moment. That's all he had in the system. So I don't know what the next narrative's going to be, but I can tell you he didn't die of natural causes. He died from homicide by the hands of the Roach Bar, by the hands of the Port Huron Police Department, by the hands of Carl Gibbs, one of the co-owners. I sat here, I listened to Chief Platzer talk about highly trained firefighter on the scene performing CPR. He was one of the bouncers, and everybody that's seen the video, they can't believe that that's considered highly trained, but I can't believe that he talked it up. I don't know if that was good for the paper, for the media, why he would talk that up. That was not what I call it. I mean, I'm trained in it. The only good thing that I've seen in the last 4 months was Jeff bringing out the AEDs for the police cars. And I'm glad that you guys did that. I'm glad that Josh's father, Mike Cohen, brought that up. I've seen that you guys are doing some CPR training. I think you guys should change your policy, how you guys, if an officer does something wrong, I think a third party, in my opinion, should investigate it. I know in the past, there's been issues with police officers. I know there's a certain police officer that was high up in the department that couldn't carry a gun for 6 months. I don't come out and say it because I try to respect everybody.
Mark, your time is up.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council this evening?
Hi, my name is Ron Madeir from Kanoke Township. First thing I'd like to say is a few meetings ago, I know a few people made light of it, thought it was funny when Julian was up here asking Mr. Freed to close his laptop or he was not going to speak. And then later in the meeting, you know, Bob and Jeff, you guys may make comments that, you know, you appreciate, you know, him having his laptop open and answers questions for you during the meeting and stuff, which, while it might not be in violation of the Open Meetings Act, I think it kind of violates the spirit of it, at least. I mean, the whole reason we're here so that you guys can talk amongst yourselves. If you don't understand something, then you talk about it publicly. Or, you know, if you're playing with your electronic devices, looking at things, it's hard to be paying attention fully and having good discourse. So I would suggest that the council, you know, during meetings, you know, makes an act that you don't use electronic devices unless needed during the council meeting. That's, you know, my thoughts on it. Second, you know, justice for Josh, and it seems like every meeting it gets talked about. We ask questions. There really isn't any answers. You know, there's been questions amongst city council when we've asked questions, and it seems like there's still, even amongst council members, you know, your city council has to remind, your city attorney has to remind council that, you know, he's recused himself from this. So if he's not handling legal matters or things to interact between the state, who is doing it in place of him? How are you getting information? How are things happening effectively? Things that just don't make sense. I mean, the city is a big enough size. You have a major crimes unit that you talk about, that you espouse, that it's compromised of the county sheriffs, Maryville, Border Patrol, U.S., you know, that you respond at a moment's notice, highly coveted specialized training. If we have this as a resource in the city, why did we just immediately send it to state? It just doesn't make sense. To me, it speaks of we're just trying to toss the ball accountability to someone else. And I really hope that's not the case. And lastly, I'd like to have a better understanding of what is the handcuffing policy and discretion used in it. As a former police officer myself, I'm familiar with this. And, you know, the two main factors usually is the circumstances in the arrest and the attitude and behavior of the person involved, which I think that's not a question. So I'd be interested in knowing what the handcuffing policy is and what discretion is allowed in that for the city. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council this evening? I'll declare public comment closed. There were some issues brought up that we will, I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
The one about the budget, just because I think that was a
Yeah.
little misleading.
Real quick, three things. First, the behind the zebra bar. They have been ordered to remove that. They've begun removing the railings and they will have outdoor seating, but a much limited space. They were not granted a permit for that, and they've begun that process already. As for the liquor control, objection to liquor control renewal, we have been advised and requested by the family attorney not to take that action until the AG has issued their report, and we respect the attorneys. To do that, we would have to hold a quasi-trial here. You would jeopardize the jury pool, compromising evidence. We talk about justice for Josh. I know this is hard, but we want to protect whatever prosecution the AG's office brings out. The attorney has asked us to do that. And as for the budget, I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Last year, we exceeded our revenues in the income tax line by about $500,000. I believe what you're looking at is a 30-day accrual interest account. If you stop in tomorrow and meet with our CFO, he can teach you how to read the budget.
Okay, we're not going to go
I'm
back
good.
and forth now, okay? I think that was it. I would ask on, the consent agenda is up before I ask for a motion, because there were some questions as to how this affects on the ordinance. I'm going to ask that we remove that from the consent agenda, just so it can be talked about. But is there a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. Support. Councilmember Pemberton, supported by Councilmember Ashford.
And that's a good move on that.
Yes, that's
Moving that
what-
off of the
yep.
appropriate time, because they weren't here at the last meeting when it was discussed.
No, that's why I asked for it to be off.
Yep.
We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes?
Councilmember Huron?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mojrek?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Items, second here. Items on the consent agenda, recommendation of the application from Bell River Winery LLC for a new on-premise tasting room permit to be located at 902 Military Street. Unit 1 be approved by the Michigan Liquor Control Commission, approving the reappointment of Andrew Kircher and Sherry Smith to the Historic District Commission with terms to expire March 10th, 2027. And we will move on to, from the city manager, number 1, please.
Receive and file the quarterly financial report for the 6-month period ending December 31st, 2023.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Councilmember Mojrek, supported by Councilmember Pemberton. Does anyone have any questions for the city manager on this item? Do you want to give a brief synopsis?
Yep, we are at 46% of our budget, which is about 3% lower than it was at this time last year and well below the 50% range. And as you can see, our revenues, including income taxes, tracking as projected.
And, Mayor Rep?
Yes, go
Yeah,
right ahead.
and then
Council.
also I see, and it's no big surprise that this one, the decrease of the 2.9 million as versus 13.02%. And the reason for that was what we suspected, ARPA, we getting all that
Correct.
free money in here. And I think with that, the only thing I have to say about the ARPA is that it was actually granted across the country to have that, to invest in things that will bring about more for our economy as a boost. Is that correct? Halfway correct there?
It was to mitigate the
The
economic
economy.
effects of
Yeah, the economy. Yeah,
COVID.
okay.
Okay. Is there anything else? We will take the vote.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes?
Councilmember Huron?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mojrek?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 2.
Accepting the unit price bid from D&J Contracting Incorporated in the estimated amount of $435,365 for the 2024 and 2025 as-needed concrete repair contract.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Councilmember Pemberton, supported by Councilmember Mojrek.
Madam Mayor and Council, this is a 2-year contract, not a 1-year contract. After 2020, we began bundling them into 2 years to attract more bidders, which we have been successful at.
Any questions? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Huron?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mojrek?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 3.
Accepting the bid from A. Saginaw Paving Company in the amount of $123,959 for the railroad crossing reconstruction project on Pine Grove Avenue where it intersects Lake State Railroad as part of the Michigan Department of Transportation's 426 process.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Councilmember Ashford, supported by Councilmember Pemberton.
Madam Mayor and Council, this is money in, money out from MDOT to initiate this project. The project must be completed by May 24th, but once they commence the project, they have 14 days to complete it. So this will be done before the end of May. For those people who traverse Pine Grove, they can tell it's getting pretty rough, especially on the southbound outer lane. It's pretty rough. We are currently working with MDOT as well to begin an application for the 10th Street crossing, hopefully to get that done next year, which I would say is equally as bad, if not worse.
Thank you. Mayor Rep.
Yes, Councilmember.
And I see why we only see one bid for this, is that,
Just because the technicality of working with the railroad,
Technical,
it's a little
okay.
bit different.
oh, okay.
But Ace Paving has done paving work for us last year and does a good job.
Any other questions? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Councilmember Mosher,
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Huron,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 4.
Accepting the proposal from Trail Sense LLC in the amount of $45,000 for the design and construction of Phase 2 Nature Trail Project within Sanborn Park and Nature Area.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support?
Councilmember Mosher, supported by Councilmember Lamb.
Madam Mayor and Council, the trail at Sanborn Park has been remarkably popular just for the mountain bikers and the walkers. We are not recommending to take the low bid. The low bid was $5 cheaper from a landscaping company. They have never built a trail or never built a gravel bike path like we're requesting. Trail Sense, which was $5 higher, was the ones that completed the trail and have experience in this type of trail making. So for $5, we thought we should go with
I think
experience.
that's a good
I
idea.
was wondering, if I may?
Yes, go right
Okay.
ahead.
And then also, I was wondering, I know we had phase 1 and phase 2, and some more phases hooked onto this? Or
There could be a possible phase 3, just to see how much it's
Oh,
cumbersome.
okay. All right, thank you.
It's a great area.
Yeah, it is.
I like to go through there. Any questions? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Mosher,
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Huron,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, we'll move on to resolutions. Number 1.
Authorizing 15 payments.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Councilmember Ashford, supported by Councilmember Pemberton. Any questions on any of the payments? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Pemberton,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Huron,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Councilmember Mosher,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 2.
Approving the multi-year agreement with Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick Incorporated for professional surveying and inspection services work.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support?
Councilmember Pemberton, supported by Councilmember Lamb.
Madam Mayor and Council, we issued a RFP. We reviewed proposals from 4 different firms based on evaluation and review from and answers to the questions from the different firms. The engineering department is recommending this firm. This is a as-needed contract, so as we need them throughout the year to do surveying for various projects. There's a fee schedule in the back for when we need them. If we don't need them, we don't get billed. Yep, that's it.
But it's budgeted.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yep.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, Councilmember.
James, will we still be using our other companies that we've used, Tetra Tech, BMJ, that
Yes.
we've used in the past also? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? We will take the vote.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Huron,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Councilmember Mosher,
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 3.
Approving the agreement with Premier Security Solutions to provide security guard services to Lakeside Beach for the 2024 summer season.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support. Councilmember Mosrak, supported by Councilmember Lamb.
Madam Mayor and Council, this will be our third year working with Premier Security at Lakeside Beach and also Lighthouse Beach. They've done an excellent job. They've actually gotten better year over year, responsiveness to the residents' concerns and getting a better feel for the park. So it's a continuation.
Good. Any questions, comments? We will take the vote.
Councilmember Haremza.
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb.
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak.
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton.
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford.
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 6.
Approving the sale of 2831 vacant lot Dove Street for $177,100.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Ashford. Is there a second?
Support.
Thank you. Councilmember Pemberton. And do you want to explain this, please?
Yep, Madam
Mr.
Mayor
Burke?
and Council, about in 2022, we sold the 8-acre parcel to an individual that was going to build a 100,000 square foot industrial spec building, essentially build the building and look for an end user. Due to a host of issues, mostly because of building costs and interest rates since 2022, that project became stale and I don't think you can pull it off the ground. We have since been working still to advertise that property and we did find a buyer, which is, we've clawed back the property for exactly what was paid for it. And we are selling it for the same price with the cost of a survey and some environmental work attached to it to a company that I sent you a briefing on, but they build aerosols for a lot of our big box stores. So whether it's shaving cream, hairspray, or things like that at Costco and Sam's and throughout the country. They'll be investing $40 million, building an 80,000 square foot facility with about 100 good paying jobs, a little bit more sophisticated jobs that pay a little bit higher. And they intend to begin almost immediately. So they'll begin their due diligence process. And hopefully get set a closing date for the next couple of months and get started right away. They're a Canadian-based company. They have many other facilities throughout Canada. This will be their first U.S. production facility. They wanted to be in Port Huron because of our proximity to the Canadian markets and their other plants.
How long will it take them to be up and running? Do you know?
Probably 24 to 36 months. If things go
I was gonna say
well.
it would take a little bit, yeah. Any questions from council?
No, just a comment. Thank God for paperwork. I mean,
Yep.
you had a chance, the opportunity to get that back and put it back in the market. And you mentioned that you were going to have jobs. You got a projection of how many jobs?
100.
100 jobs. Well, even if it was 10, we need it.
Yep.
Have to find people to work them.
One of the things we've done is, as well as when we sell a property, we deed restrict it.
Yeah.
So they can't sell that to someone else. Because what you don't want to happen is someone coming to the city of Port Huron, buying publicly owned land, and then using it to speculate for a profit. When we sell the land, we want to ensure that jobs are created and investment is actually made here.
You're up. James, if I'm correct, this is a family-based company also, isn't
Yes.
it? So, yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? We will take the vote.
Councilmember Lamb.
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak.
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton.
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford.
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza.
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Ordinance number 1.
Second reading and enactment. An ordinance to amend Chapter 10 Building and Building Regulations, Article 2 Single State Construction Code, and Article 5 Non-Owner Occupied Certification of the Port Huron Code of Ordinances for the purpose of updating the chapter to provide new guidelines for city inspectors.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Councilmember Ashford, is there a second?
Support.
Councilmember Pemberton, I asked for this to come off so that you could address some of the concerns, please.
Yeah, I think it's better off to have our city attorney address.
Good evening. As we discussed last time, when we had the first reading, this is a change to the way our building inspectors apply the property maintenance code. So under Michigan law, the city is not required to adopt the property maintenance code. We have adopted it, and it is used by our rental inspectors as the code that they use when they determine whether or not a rental property is in compliance with the code. So the concern that we had was that the property maintenance code itself does not have what I generally call good grandfather language. You look at the commentary to the code, it specifically basically tracks our language here, saying that the intent of the property maintenance code was not to take a building and make everybody bring it up to immediately current standards. It was designed to apply to the building that at the time the building was existed, and it's designed to apply if there's any type of rehabilitation, repair, alteration, then the part that's altered would have to come up to current codes, but not the rest of the house. And so what we did is we codified that in this ordinance change. We carved out an exception. If the one exception to the grandfather rule is if a building is unsafe. So if a building is unsafe, then even though it may have been built to code that existed at the time, it would still have to come up to modern standards, the modern safety standards. So we put that in there. So I think there was an example used of somebody added a handrail. If somebody added a handrail to steps, they would have to build that to the existing code. So if there's any type of alteration, I think there was also reference to somebody refurbishes an old house. Yes, if they refurbish it, they have repairs, alterations, that would have to be brought up to modern standards, the part that they altered. So this is basically designed to track what I believe is the intent of the code. It's designed to track the way in which I believe judges will interpret the code. I think because the code itself does not have good language, it created an ambiguity, and I believe it is best for all parties involved here if we fix that ambiguity and just spell it out in our ordinance. And that's why I propose this change.
Thank you. Is there any questions from council on this?
No questions, but you also but consulted the neighborhood, the landlords association. You want to give us that input also?
Yes, as I see it, the city of Port Huron, we have a rental inspection program, and our landlords are a stakeholder in that program. They don't decide what our program is going to be, but I thought it was fair, since they're the ones who are most severely impacted by our changes, to consult with them, get their input. I listened to what they said, and this draft was my draft, and they didn't make a single change.
So they were willing to kind of like work with you on this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I felt it was appropriate to at least hear their thoughts, get their input, and we did that, so.
And then in the interest of things didn't go right, I hear from the council, I heard the mayor speak and city manager, we can always, this council can make amendments based on if something is not working right. There's some hope at the end of the tunnel here. We're working with this ordinance, is that correct?
Yes, yeah, I think we could always make changes in the future if we look at this and we don't think it's working correctly. And that's, the second change to the ordinance, that was one of those examples that we had set that 12 years ago, and then looking at how it's developed in practice, we also thought we needed to make a little tweak to that as well.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Mayor Rupp.
Any other questions for Mr. Schaude?
Madam Mayor and Council, I would just add, this is just really a common sense reform.
Right.
I think this was the intent of the council back when this was all implemented 12 years ago. I live in a home that was built in 1937. It's a pretty nice house. Not big, but a nice home. But if you were to take the current property building code and try to go to apply it to my 1937 homes, I know that my hand railing's probably 1.5 inches too short. The treads on my stairs are probably 2 inches too short. The idea that I would have to rip that all out and rebuild it based on one inspection, I think the intent of our rental inspection was safety, the safety of our residents, not tit for tat and all these minor things. So this is a common sense reform. Understand that the city has been here since 1867, so we have a lot of old housing stock. We don't want to put undue burden on our residents and our landlords. And if we put an undue burden on the landlords by making just not common sense changes to a building code, that inevitably will affect the tenant's rent and the ability to have affordable housing here. So we need to have common sense reforms to protect the residents and also make housing affordable.
That makes sense.
Anybody else? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We will take the vote.
Councilmember Mosrek?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, that concludes our agenda for this evening. I just want to take an opportunity to again thank Councilmember Lamb for the AED training. I think it's all done now, isn't it? Or pretty much, almost?
I had 32 employees go through last week, and I have 3 more classes this week.
Oh, great, great. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else from anybody else?
Yeah, Mayor Rep, over the weekend, I attended the SC4. Usually I attend a lot of things, but the SC4, I went to their fest thing, they called it, whatever. And I mean, I bet you it was probably about 7,000 people came through there, not just from our
The STEM
neighborhood.
Fest? The STEM Fest?
The STEM Fest, yes. I mean, they opened up the whole, the field house, everything, and those kids were just running off the hook over there, learning how to weld. They were off their phones and no iPads running around, you know. But I'd just like to give a shout out to Kurt Kramer and his staff over there, you know, just for bringing our city alive in such a way and having those kids there. I mean, it was just beautiful.
It is, and if there's people who have never had the chance to see the Challenger that they have over there, it's fantastic. So it's certainly something you should take your kids to, or the adults. So, because I went through it and I thought it was really amazing.
You see those dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
Is there anything else? Yes.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I guess the first question is for James. Since that wasn't given a permit, what is the time frame for them? You said they're working on it. But what's
Immediately.
Immediately, yeah, because I can definitely see, you know, the hazard of
There
this.
will be a smaller section in the middle that we have permitted, but not that you couldn't even walk by it. They're 100% right. It's
And
dangerous.
I guess this for, does the city own up to the building, or is there a few feet that they, how does that work?
We own the entire thing up to the facade.
Got it. So, great. And then I did get a text, I think, regarding the video at the very beginning, and I know we were waiting for a part, so I guess what's the update on that?
Tonight's issue is on Comcast side.
Okay.
We do have audio and live feed on YouTube. It's Comcast that's having the issue. All of our equipment should be installed hopefully before the end of the month. It's all delivered now. Well, not here, but at their building, and they're getting ready to schedule it.
That's great. And then
three-day build out.
Great. And then I guess the last one is just a kind of an announcement or update. A couple meetings ago, we had the Black River Boat Club come and talk about a cleanup. We did meet with them, and we are trying to, put that together. But I guess May 18th was one that we kind of all agreed. It sounds like it'll work for everybody's timing. It's a week before Memorial Day, so for right now, just please put it on your calendar, and we'll have more details in the couple weeks.
The 18th?
May 18th.
For the cleanup, you mean, right?
Yes.
Excuse me.
That's all I got.
Madam Mayor, I just want to remind the public, I know kids are still in school, but we have a lot of summer jobs that are posted right now, all the rec department jobs, the pool jobs, seasonal workers in our throughout the city. So if you know a college kid or a high school kid who's looking for a job, we fill those jobs now. We don't wait until June or the end of May. So have them go online. They can apply online for one of those vacancies.
If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.